Is that 3 o'clock going to be here as well?
Yes, it'll be here. It'll be at 3:15. With again, Judge Pape is going to be speaking, as well as a couple of other agency officials.
Are you speaking in this one? Are you speaking in this one?
Yes, I'm going to be the one talking today.
I got it. Sorry.
Help out where I can.
You're our victim.
Yeah. I'll be y'all's victim for this afternoon.
You got your chance to prep and all that. What's your name?
My name is Alex.
A-L-E-X?
Yes.
Last name?
Last name is B-R-E-G-E-N-Z-E-R. And I am with the Texas A&M Forest Service as a public information officer on this incident.
Pronounce that for us, Alex.
Bregenzer?
Bregenzer.
Yes.
What's on your back pocket?
Cool. So is everybody ready to rock and roll?
Good.
Awesome. So like I said, my name's Alex. I'm with the Texas A&M Forest Service as a public information officer on the Rolling Pines fire in Bastrop County today. Wanted to give you all a heads up that the acreage is still going to remain the same at 783. Containment is also going to remain the same at 30%. We're hoping that later this afternoon we'll be able to update that containment number. We're working on getting some more accurate mapping. Our crews are still working on those containment lines and reinforcing those. We do have containment lines around the fire currently, and there's no threat to the fire getting out of those containment lines at the moment. We are working on the southern/southwest containment line to make sure that that is prepped for the wind shift that is predicted to happen later this afternoon. The winds are going to be coming out of the north and primarily affecting that containment line area. So those are going to be one of our major areas of consideration on our efforts this afternoon. And again, this afternoon, later at around 3:15, Judge Pape and a couple other agency officials will be talking more about evacuations and giving some more updates on that. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, Alex, could you describe, I was out there on the ridge line and,
yes.
and I was noticing a few little pop-ups. And so has that been the focus today? We've got the line circle cut, and now it's kind of like making sure, there's no embers that, that could come out of those stumps?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So our focus right now is to, again, make sure we're reinforcing those containment lines. And then from those containment lines, we're moving inwards. Many of our fire crews are going inside the fire perimeter to put out any spots that we're seeing, making sure that any active fire is well away from our containment lines. And so putting out those smoldering areas is one of the priorities today.
See some pictures from early this morning, that glow along that line. Mm-hmm. That really tells the tale. We've lost the heavy smoke today.
Yeah.
But this thing is still active, isn't it?
It's not as active as it was last night. Because of the conditions last night with the recovering humidity levels, the lower winds, we're seeing a lot less active fire than we were, previously. So again, that is also offering our crews very, very good chance to make headway, not only on building containment line earlier today and earlier last night, but making sure that we're building off of that containment line into the fire perimeter and making sure that the fire is out that way as well.
And on that southwest side, mm-hmm. How many residents are y'all concerned about that are still there?
I don't have an accurate number on that currently, but we can work on getting that. Again, we're going to be talking about evacuations if there are evacuations either planned and or the evacuations that are going to be lifted later today around 3:15.
As far as today and now, as resident home structures, those numbers are unaffected?
Yeah, so we are recording and have reported no residential structure loss, and then again, no injuries on this fire as well.
When you say no residential, I heard that this morning too. Have we lost some barns and some sheds?
I don't have anything verified on that yet, but we may have some more information about that later this afternoon.
And I noticed Bluebonnet has been out working, so some of the lines, the fire took out some of the lines, and that's why we're seeing Bluebonnet work? So
from what I understand, Bluebonnet was out here to cut the power to some of the areas because we were concerned about some of the power lines coming down, and they are currently out here, now that it's daylight, checking the lines, making sure everything's good, and working on restoring power to the affected areas.
The cold front that's coming in tonight, how are you expecting will affect the firefight or fire conditions?
So it may increase fire behavior a little bit, but again, we're working on the southern area because that wind is going to be coming out of the north to better, prepare for that wind shift.
Should residents be concerned?
Not at this time. Again, we're working on continuing to build the progress that we've had so far.
Is there an area that's kind of been hit hardest the most, or an area that's a main focus? I know you said the southern with the winds, but right now.
Yeah, and again, I think for the entire incident so far, we've really been focusing on life safety. So making sure that any residents that are impacted are away from danger as best as we can, and then once those residents are away from danger, making sure that we're taking care of their property, we're taking care of their livelihoods, and that way they're able to return to those areas once they're given the all clear.
You said the fire is not as active today as it was yesterday. 783 acres have burned. Of that 783, how many acres is the fire currently,
That's a little bit of a difficult question because it's not. When we say 783 acres, it's not that entire area has burned. There may be pockets of unburnt fuel that are in there, unburnt vegetation, but that is the general fire perimeter. So as far as specific square feet that's burned, I don't have an accurate number on that.
Do you have an idea of how big the fire actually is right now?
Again, we're still going with the 783 acres as the fire perimeter, so that's the best number we can give.
Could you tell us about what kind of wildlife, what kind of trees are at that 783 acres?
I can't speak to that right now. That's going to be more of a Texas Parks and Wildlife type of question, if that makes sense.
What were the weather conditions when the prescribed burn started? Humidity as well as wind conditions?
I do not know that information right now. That was, I think, discussed at an earlier interview, but I can get that information to you at some point today.
Do you know what went into kind of making the decision to go ahead and move forward with the prescribed burn?
So prescribed burning is a very complex task, and the planning process can take anywhere from weeks in advance to months in advance. There's a lot of different characteristics that go into that process, from desired conditions after the burn to wind speed, weather conditions prior to it. It's a very, very complex task and planning process that goes into any sort of decision before you put fire on the ground.
I think there's been 18 prescribed burns since 2011. What was different perhaps about this one?
I honestly can't say anything about that. I was not part of many of those prescribed fires or this one today. I'm here as a public information officer, but I was not a part of the burn yesterday, so I can't give any insight into that yet.
Do you think we might be able to get those answers around 3:15 today?
I don't know if the 3:15 press conference is going to be about the prescribed burn. I know for sure it's going to be about the evacuations. I know that Carter Smith, the head of the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, has said that he is going to start the investigation once we have made sure that everybody's safe and this fire's out. So right at this time, I don't think that information is going to be available because we haven't been able to start the investigation because we're focusing on making sure that everybody's safe.
Okay. And do you have any idea how many people are required to be present for a prescribed burn?
It varies depending on the burn and the size of the burn. And again, that is part of the larger planning process that can be very complex.
Is there any more of the fire contained than earlier this morning?
No, at the moment we're still holding it at 30%. Again, that is we're being a little bit conservative right now because we don't have as accurate mapping yet today. We're hoping that later this afternoon, once we get some more on the ground accurate mapping, we'll be able to update that containment number. So it may be higher than what we're saying right now, but again, we're waiting for more details.
Because that's to qualify, but forward movement has stopped.
Currently, yes. We have containment lines around the fire, but we're not saying that the fire is contained more than 30% because we don't have complete accurate mapping of the area.
There's more vegetation inside that ring that could be consumed.
Yes, there is vegetation on the inside that, again, is still burning, still putting off smoke. And so that's why we still have smoke in the air and we have fire on the ground, but it's not near the containment lines. Does anybody else have any questions, comments, concerns?
spell your name again, your last name?
My last name is going to be spelled Bregenzer.
Thanks, Alan.
Yeah, no problem. And if we haven't already gotten your contact information, if you wouldn't mind meeting up with me real quick so we can get your information, that way we can kind of keep you all up to date on when we're holding more things. And again, 315